So what I can do, I can go here and go to the first frame, and I copy my dot network. Let's call this fire sim and call this just fire sim. Can do this. Okay, stop rendering. And inside of this just fire theme, I don't need any kind of disturbance because they applied to the density. We won't have a density. So just wind, maybe a little smaller, maybe like 0.35. And the volume source, I will use the same setup, okay? But with the pyro solver, I want to uncheck the emit smoke. All right, and I'm gonna leave the file lifespan point file like here, and on the shape, I will add a what I can apply here. Let's go and add a shredding, and let's apply like 15 for the shredding. So disturbance we apply to the flame, which is good, and with shredding, maybe I will decrease the block size a little bit, just from 0.2 to 0.15. I think that should be enough. So in advanced, I leave 1 and 3, but with the smoke object sparse, I will decrease the, well, actually I can leave the voxel size or decrease it. Let's decrease it a little bit, 0.03 maybe. Okay, so another thing I want to add here, I don't use this on the fire and smoke, but I definitely need to set some boundary conditions. So I will recache my smoke and my fire again with the same settings, but I want to use the boundary condition for those. So I don't need to, I want to close below by y-1, so I don't need to put my container bow below the -1 and close it below the minus, let's say it's 30. Why 30? Because when I look on my camera view somewhere here, if you go to visualizing and active region, or actually domain, we can see this limit. So the smoke won't go further than there. So -30, -1, and I will do the same here. So below -30 and below -1, just to clamp those smoke. I don't want to smoke move further than that because I won't see it. All right, so that's what I want to have here, and I need to make just a fire. So just fire. Go down here and call this just fire, and the fire out we can leave it the same, and we don't have a density in fact, so we can just remove this. So keep just velocity, temperature, and the flame. That's all what we need. And let's simulate it. And we're done with that. I simulate 200 frames just for fire. Before I go further, I just want to change my skylight a little bit to, not the wrong way, to match with the sun from the image. Something like that. And maybe even smaller, like 100 should be fine. Okay, so if we go just on my just fire, go to pyro post process, we can't see anything. And reason for that, because we don't have a density, right? And now if you go to binding, let's just copy my temperature to density. And now we're gonna see something. Yes, my fire is pretty weak even, but we can play with that. So I'll go density scale 0. And all other stuff I can change. Let's go to the ramp. So as you remember, we can play with my ramp to create nice shapes from a fire. So let's create an orange color here. There. Okay. So let's do the same here. Let's just grab it. Come on. Okay, let me just go to render view. I want to see that since 0.3, make black. Okay, so now another gradient ramp somewhere like point, I don't know, 75, make black, and my last ramps should be black too. All right, so I'm getting back here. And with the temperature range, definitely smaller, maybe 0.5. Or even lower, 0.3. Yep, nice ramp. Nice ramp. All right. So, but what I want to do, I want to create material from this. So I'll create mesh material. And there's our Pyro Shader 1. And, oops, sorry. Get back here. Yeah, Pyro Shader 1. And do the same here for my fire import. For my smoke import, I will apply create meshing material. Okay, so now I can use this material for my smoke. Let me enable that. This material for the smoke, Pyro Shader 2, and this material. Or actually, for my fire, I can use simply just the post command pyro post process. Okay, so we can, can play with my material here. So it's Pyro Shader 2. Let's play with that and go to render view. So what I want to do, I can go to my material option, and let's go to out for the first. And what I want to change here, go to objects, and let's start with rendering my smoke. So fire import. Yeah. And I can apply material from here, so I can enable my pyro post process for visualization, or basically enable fire out for getting the cache and apply my my material here, Pyro Shader 2. Or we can apply material from here. So it doesn't matter, it's just an option how you can do this. So if you go to this Pyro Shader, let's make a render. And this Pyro Shader 2, that's what I want to use. I'm on frame 104. Definitely it's somewhere here, 168. Should be much better. And I don't know what's wrong with this. It's my out, fire input. No, it's all fine. I don't know why, but it's just some back. Okay, so what I want to do, so 0.1, let me make this smoke a little bit brighter. So like 0.1 because it's too dark, and the scattering phase is minus 0.2 should be fine. So with intensity scale 10, yeah, it's much better now. Much better now. But what I want to set up here, I want to change is to the color ramp as we did with my Justifier. So I apply the color, so the same, some orange, and we can drag it over here. So I want to apply the same texture like we had, like 0.1 maybe. Sorry, 0.2 here, 0.3 here as we did. So the black here. Oh, why you doesn't create a black color? So another stuff here, 1.2 and somewhere 0.75, and again black there. So I'll create something like a ramp, like we did from Justifier. Okay. And that's fine. 0.3 for the range minimum and maximum. Okay. We have flame, temperature, all this stuff is by default. So again, make render. Now we have something similar. And what I want to add here is going to object, and the first thing I want to add is volume light, because we don't have the light from the fire. But before I do this, I go to the output and add my fire, Justify import to this. So now when I press render, I will load the both simulation at once. And now I'm gonna have and one fire input and Justify. So I add my more detailed fire to already existing smoke simulation. Another thing I want to choose here before it's starting, I want to add the mate object from my ground source. As you remember, those trees are my mate object. So I don't want to see the fire in the front of my trees. I just want to see the fire behind my trees. As you remember, in my geometry here, ground source, I have a render flag in my trees geometry over there, but I need to apply some materials. I can apply materials, but anyway, you can see that we already have some trees on the foreground, and they will create nice mate objects from my fire. All right, so then then what I want to do, I want to create the volume light, and volume light I will create from my main simulation here from my fire input. So to do this, I will select my fire input, or we can create a volume light from this, but mainly my light from fire will light up my smoke. So I will use the smoke simulation with the fire. So I will grab the fire from the scene. I will use the same shader, or we can play with that, and I will light up my smoke using the volume light. So I press Ctrl and volume light. Okay. So now this is my volume light, the set light here. Okay. So if I go to the setup, go to rendering, I will have, you can see a nice details just from this side, from the preview. It's not bad. Okay, ground source, that guy. So I can choose the physical best friend, it doesn't matter. But what I want to change here, I want to see the amount of my volume light. And to do this is a better way is go to my extra image planes and set my direct lighting and per each light here. Now in the render view, I will see how many lights I will get from the sun, from the skylight, and from the volume light. Because mainly volume light is not very intensive, especially when we have the dense or a huge amount of smoke. So in my case, maybe I need to increase the brightness for this, especially for this light. And then we can play with that. So I make a pause to see a result. And rendering begins. Let's go here, we can see my sunlight, which is fine from that angle. Skylight, which looks like a field light from all sides, and the volume light direct. And you can see it's very low intense, Definitely to play with that. And we can go by two ways, in fact. The first way is go to the volume light, let me stop it, and increase intensity here, like 2 intensity and 2 exposure. And we're going to have the more brighter lights. But when we play with the fire inside of my pyro shader 2, let's call this fire smoke, and this we go just fire, just to understanding where is the first one, where is another one, because just point 1, point 2, this always can add some mess. So I want to copy the spider shader and call this volume light. And inside here I will increase the maximum here, so it will create a little bit brighter fire. Okay, so from one way I increase the intensity of my volume light. Let me just add those guys here, and let's play with that should be my lights, and that's gonna be my main cam. All right, and now I add to volume light and intensity, and I create more intense fire. So let's render this again, and we will see is there any changing in my brightness, because you can see that there is no too many influence from my fire, but it should be, because this fire is very big. It's like 3, 4, 5, 10 meters high, and it's very intense, so it should have some influence on my smoke. And this influence we can see inside of volume light direct. So that's what we had. I can make a snap. That's my last render. And now we will see what we will have with the new settings. Yes, much brighter now. It's much brighter. Now in here we can see some influence, the more like orange tint in my smoke, which is fine, and here. Cool. We can do even more, in fact. Even more. Anyway, we can play with this setup even on my compositing stage. So anything else what I can do here is go to out, and while we're here inside of the extra image plane, what I can add here is my 2 masks. So the smoke mask and my fire mask. All right, smoke, we have fire, direct, that's all what I want to have. Let's go to the rendering and let's play with sampling. Actually, I don't want to create the biggest sample, maybe like 4x4, that's the maximum I want to have here. And increase the volume step rate to 0.5, that's what I want to have. And with such small movement, I think I don't need to apply the motion blur, because it will take much more time for rendering, but it doesn't create too many blur, because we have a very small motions, a large scale scene, so there is no fast flying information, and I think that all what we need to have. So leave as it is, again, just fire input. And yeah, another thing I want to mention on is the quality of my volume light. Mainly this light is very noisy. So there is a few options. We can increase our sampling here even more. You can see the fire mask, the smoke mask, which is good. But what I really want to do, I can increase the quality or the sampling amount here on the volume light. So make it 4, and to increase a little bit the quality of this light. That's what I want to have. So another thing what I want to do here is increasing my the smoke and fire line here. So I will do the same for my next geometry. I will do this not here on my lesson, I will do this after that, because all what I want to do just is create the same setup, just put this file ground to, except of the first one. So that's all what I will change, nothing more. I think you can apply this by you, and then I will render out the both elements, and I'm gonna show you what do we have on a compositing stage.